Push me to the edge / all my friends are dead, Lil Uzi Vert intones in XO Tour Lift 3, at first in a matter-of-fact chant and later in a slurred, raw sing-song. The backing track is a bass line going nowhere slowly, oozing to bind together twitches of electronic percussion and little tinkles and twangs that drift in and out. The lyrics, rapped and sung in an assortment of scratchy voices, juggle the bitterness of a crumbling relationship alongside career boasts and druggy, suicidal ramblings. XO Tour Lift 3 isn't some avant-garde obscurity or oddball cult discovery, it's a major hit. Since its release in February, it has been streamed 500 million times on Spotify alone, with more than 130 million views of its YouTube video. The tone of that song, mournful, dazed, sullen, traumatized, self-absorbed, defensive, remote, morbid, was pervasive in the pop of 2017. Hit radio and popularity-driven algorithmic playlists lingered on bleak, bummed-out sounds and scenarios, stringing together music that shares the feeling of being alienated, unprotected and besieged. And why not? Consider the pressures on the millennial and younger listeners who are clicking to choose a song. They're making their way into an era of accelerating income inequality. They're awash in social media that nationalizes peer pressure, that expects intricately maintained self-branding, and that shows with photos how just about everyone else is having a better life. They are on college education tracks that could leave them with a staggering debt burden, or they face the prospect of working in a dead-end retail or service sector job under the ruthless exploitation of a gig economy. Social safety nets are being shredded, environmental protections are being reversed. For young listeners, there's no guarantee of a fulfilling career or even of non-toxic food, air, and water. One pop response is a 2017 hit like Cardi B's Bodak Yellow, which itemizes her revenue streams over a somber minor mode loop and ratchety drum machine sounds, offering only the prospect of endless hustling against merciless competition. She's got hers, while you're on your own and already being left behind. The attitude was similar on the year's blockbuster album release, Taylor Swift's Reputation, which sold more than 1 million copies in 4 days. The old Taylor, a sharp-witted yet approachable young woman dealing with inexplicably callous boyfriends, was replaced by a grown-up, unabashed celebrity, lashing out at detractors and flaunting how manipulative she could be, often backed by harsh, unyielding electronics. It wasn't long ago that the pumped-up, obvious four-on-the-floor beats and titanic bass tones of electronic dance music propelled pop hits. Songwriters like SIA were conquering the charts with what she called victim-to-victory anthems like Titanium, in which adversity in the verses was overcome by triumph in the choruses. The singers offered affirmation and pleasure, the music promised the communal uplift of the dance floor. Now, that hope has moved out of reach. Although DJ producers are still busy, a big, happy thump is no longer inevitable. Rhythm tracks are just as often hollowed out and sporadic, with a beat that's inferred rather than spelled out. Kick drums arrive as eruptions rather than foundations. Often, percussion sounds are spattered intermittently around a bass line, or they tick steadily like a suspense film soundtrack, more haunted house than dance floor. The voices are isolated in a cold electronic space, and with auto-tune and other effects, they become half robotic, severed from physical breath and moisture, moaning from inside the machine. The music favors doleful minor keys and skeletal harmonies. Plush, comforting sounds are in retreat. Instead, instruments are often sparse and brittle, electronically desiccated or sampled through static. Lyrics also accentuate how low spirits can go. Julia Michaels, who has collaborated on many hit singles for others, went solo this year with an EP including Issues, which was streamed 462 million times on Spotify. Sung in a tearful voice over an archly genteel string arrangement, it envisions romance as a chance to bask in the glory of all our problems. It's a contender for the Song of the Year Grammy Award. So is 1-800-273-8255 by Logic with Alessia Cara and Khalid, the telephone number for a suicide hotline. I don't wanna be alive / I just wanna die, Logic sings early in the song, though he changes his mind. In Him and I, a duet by the rapper G-Eazy and the singer Halsey, their crazy love is pitted against a world of haters, drugs, and potential infidelity, while G-Eazy's verses keep thinking about death. The much-anticipated second album by Lorde, Melodrama, is fixated on parties that end up being the locus of impossible expectations followed by disappointments, betrayals, and the letdown of cleaning up the champagne glasses. Anything but fun. Khalid, in a song with 325 million Spotify streams, tersely characterizes current high school kids, young, dumb and broke. Even when the words carry more positive tidings, the musical settings stay gloomy. In Mask Off by Future, 520 million streams on Spotify, about 225 million YouTube views, he raps about escaping a childhood in poverty for a lavish current lifestyle of luxury cars, world tours, and assorted drugs. But he's accompanied by a lugubrious flute melody, and there's no joy in his weary voice. When Post Malone sings about all the excesses and indulgences he's enjoying in Rockstar, 545 million Spotify streams, he's crooning a minor key melody, and he doesn't sound any more cheerful or hopeful than he does in I Fall Apart, an utterly desolate post-breakup song. Pop's turn toward glumness didn't happen suddenly this year. It had been gathering for some time, sonically and verbally. Consider big statement albums like Rihanna's Anti and Beyoncé's Lemonade from 2016, with songs full of resentment, bitterness, and ambivalence, and music that deliberately sounded raw and unfinished. The Weeknd became a star with melancholy confessions about his self-destructive tendencies. 21 Pilots had arena-scale success with the 2016 song Stressed Out, which has a 20-something singer already wishing he could go back to the good old days of childhood games and lullabies instead of the insecurity and need to make money of the present, just as Rihanna had sung Work, 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 Work last year. The dominant sound of 2017, austere and ominous, continues the long, steady ascent of trap music, which emerged out of Southern rap in the early 2000s. It was already coalescing when T.I. named his 2003 album Trap Music. It used the flatly artificial sounds of an early drum machine, the Roland TR-808, for its distinctive hi-hats and cymbals. Below them were shadowy spaces and an unhurried, viscous pulse. Trap's sinister mood was originally associated with lyrics about trap houses, where drugs are sold, and other chronicles of crime and deprivation, and it has never lost its ominous aura. But by 2017, even Taylor Swift was using elements of trap in songs like Ready for It. Trap has also turned out to be symbiotic with streaming, as more listeners get their music online. Previews of the 2017 annual report by Nielsen Music, which tabulates music consumption, announced that on-demand streaming rose by 59% over 2016, raising the importance of the playlists offered by streaming services like Spotify. Along with the rise in streaming, what Nielsen classifies as R&B/hip-hop became the most popular genre. Trap, already widespread, could only benefit. Although recording technology now allows infinite multi-tracking, the earbud playback and lo-fi formats of most music online reward using just a handful of discrete sounds. Computer speakers and MP3 compression, like the transistor radios of yore, can't do full justice to music that relies on deep bass and rich combinations of instruments. The EDM-driven pop hits of recent years sound anemic without club subwoofers, and even hit-making DJ producers like Kygo and Zed have now somewhat stripped down their approaches. The two streaming titans of 2017, Despacito by Luis Fonsi featuring Daddy Yankee and, in a bilingual remix, Justin Bieber, and Shape of You by Ed Sheeran offered the traditional pop blandishments of seduction and courtship. But both the reggaeton beat of Despacito and the plinky, vaguely Caribbean beat of Shape of You are lean and crisp, ideal for earbuds. Meanwhile, the clickety constructions of trap come through even a tiny tweeter. And trap, with roots in the most unsparing hip-hop and a deep sense of dread built into its sound, expanded its hold on pop because it resonated more and more with a national mood of uncertainty and fear. The election of 2016 and the first year of the Trump administration have heightened the divisions in America, of race, gender, class, faith, geography. Popular music, at its best, has always promised to unify its audience for a shared good time, to overcome differences with a beat and a tune. But in this anxious, tribalized year, that was well beyond the reach of pop. It could only gird listeners for worse to come.